What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we got a handful of stories that we need to discuss, and a lot of you guys liked the video that I did yesterday where I showed you the actual articles that I was reading, gave you my input on that as well. So we're going to do that exact same thing today, but we got a handful of stories. We actually got, well, pretty much four. First, President Biden is asking for more money for Ukraine. We're going to touch on that and why that could be a tough sell at this point. The second thing, we're going to talk about how Poland was hit by a Russian missile and what is being done there, how they can actually invoke Article 4, which is one step below Article 5, which would mean pretty much World War III. The third thing we're going to talk about is the railroad unions are struggling to get people to vote yes on the tentative agreement. I will address what has been said there and also give you some insight as to people that I have talked to as well. And the last thing is household debt. It's soaring and it's staggering at this time, but we'll get to that towards the end of this video. But let's begin. Here's the first thing we need to discuss. President Biden has asked for $37 billion in emergency funding for Ukraine aid. Now, why is he asking for more money? He's asking for more money because Ukraine needs it. They need to, they need a massive infusion of cash in order to pretty much protect them against Russian forces. That's a big deal. But it says the administration's funding request, which comes as lawmakers begin their post-election session, also seeks $9.25 billion for COVID funding. Yeah, okay, we know that. But again, what's happening right now? And we can go on, we can read the whole thing, but the big thing is, why is he asking for this? And is now the right time? Well, the other thing that happened today, which I want to touch on, is this. Poland says Russian-made missile fell inside their country, killing 2 people. Here's the reason why President Biden asking for this $37 billion for Ukraine might be a very tough sell. If he wants $37 billion for emergency funding for Ukraine, that's great. The problem is Poland was just hit. So how much money are we going to have to give to Poland now? And if Poland was hit, what other countries are nearby that could potentially get hit as well, or could see some financial issues arise because of the missiles hitting Ukraine? So we can't just send all of our resources to Ukraine. And right now, it's looking like there's going to be more problems coming for the region around Ukraine as well. So we will keep you updated on that. But here's what I can tell you. This one story, this one report, and this is coming from the Associated Press just today. I did a breaking news short video on this earlier today, but this is big. And I say this is big because President Biden has made it very clear. And I think in one of these articles it talks about, but President Biden was very clear that right here, let me show you this. Okay, it says right here, this is what he previously said. The U.S. would defend every inch of NATO territory. He also made it very clear that an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all NATO members. That's big, because this means we are close to a world war. We're close. But right here it says Poland could invoke NATO Article 4 after Russian-made missiles reportedly struck a Polish village. Here's what this means. Now, I'm not going to read this entire article, but I want you to understand what that means. Okay? Right here says, what is Article 4 of NATO's treaty? Article 4 of the treaty allows any member nation to call for a consultation of the organization's governing body when the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of any of the parties is threatened. Invoking the article does not guarantee that the alliance will take action, but it is a significant step in intensifying discussions between members. Article 4 starts formal communications on behalf of the threatening member. The last thing that you need to understand with this is you have to have 100% support. We cannot have just a handful of members, because again, it's like a vote, right? But it's not the majority. You have to have 100% consensus in order to do something. And this is why it's very difficult. It's only been done a handful of times, and here's where we have seen it. These are the most recent. There's July 2015. Turkey invoked Article 4 to alert the alliance to its impending response to terrorist attacks. On March 2014, Poland invoked Article 4 to discuss increasing tensions in Ukraine amid Russian aggression. October 2012, Turkey invoked talks after 5 Turkish civilians were killed by Syrian shells. Then June 2012, Turkey requested a meeting after one of its fighter jets was shot down by Syrian air defense. Then February 2003, and just so you know, Turkey has invoked Article 4 more than any other country. But in 2003, Turkey invoked Article 4, asking NATO to help protect its people from any spillover consequences of the war in Iraq. Now, again, this is the big problem. And we've talked about this before, and I said this on the video I did earlier today, that we knew the countries around Ukraine had the potential to get hit. There would be some spillover. We knew that. And those countries, especially when they were attacking the nuclear power plant, is what happens if there's, we have radioactive activity, right? What happens if it spills over into, the radiation, spills over into NATO countries? Is that technically an attack on those NATO countries? Well, some said yes. Even the Pentagon worried that this was a possibility. We would see Russia try to attack Ukraine, but when they're attacking those border cities, there's a chance that there could be something done wrong. And in this case, this missile hit Poland. That's not a good sign, right? And that's very troubling at this time, because honestly, where do we go from here? Because Russia isn't wanting to back down. And especially after Russia had some issues taking over certain cities, and now they're having to pull back, it's not looking good. Russia is trying to escalate the situation and really speed this along, but at the same time, that's not what any other country wants. So that's big news there, and I promise I will keep you updated on what's going on there as soon as we get more information. And my guess is we'll have a lot more information very soon. Now, let's get to the next story. And this is this one right here. I want to touch on this one. Railroad unions struggle to get rebellious workers to yes on contracts. Now, what are they talking about? Well, here's what we know. This week, okay, 2 of the biggest unions are going to be voting for this tentative agreement. This that 24% increase, a $5,000 bonus, right? One extra day of time off. Yeah. So that's what they're going to be voting on. Well, what I can tell you, based off of the people that I have talked to, is that there is a lot of people that are worried that the railroad isn't taking them serious. That if they accept this deal now and they don't go on strike, there's a chance that the railroad is simply going to take advantage of them into the future. They're not going to renegotiate. They're not going to want to talk. That right now the railroad workers and the union, they have all the power. Because if they don't accept this deal and they potentially go on a strike, Congress could step in. But if Congress steps in, again, it changes things. But this is the time where the workers have more power than the railroad itself. Now, the issue with this is, again, Congress could force them into accepting the deal. But are they going to do that? Well, some say they could. Others say no, they would not. But here's what I can tell you. If we see this drag on, we're likely to get very close to a railroad strike. And the reason for that is because workers do not feel that their best interest is being met. They don't feel like their quality of life is even a concern to the railroads. They don't think that they're even being listened to. Yes, they're talking, they're in negotiations, that's it. They talk, but are they actually being listened to? Some say no. Now, a few of the people that I talked to, one said that he is out. If we go on strike, I am done. Not coming back. Another person said that she has worked for the railroads for about 13 years, that she would be sad if there was a strike. She would picket with the rest of the workers. However, that she has to look after her family. And again, quality of life, it's big. It's a big deal. And one other person, let me find it right here. One other person said, where is it? I've talked to several workers that work with me. None of them will be voting yes. We will all vote no, and we are more than happy to go on strike. The railroads need to understand that they cannot control us. Most of the people I've talked to are not happy. They are, and most of the people that are working for the railroads, I mean, these are the people that are not happy. 24% raise, exciting, but at the same time, they haven't got a raise in how many years, right? Multiple years. So 24% now, it's really not a huge increase if they would have received those wage increases over the last several years. So again, that's kind of where they're at. But again, as soon as I get more information on that, I promise I will fill you in on those updates as soon as we get them. Here's another one. I want to read you this story right here. Household debt soars at fastest pace in 15 years as credit card use surges, the Fed report says. Now, why is credit card use surging? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's surging because, one main thing, prices. Prices are going up. Prices are going up. People are losing hours at work. They're not getting wage increases like they were in 2020 and 2021. We haven't seen that, right? They say credit card balance collectively rose more than 15% from the same period in 2021. This is the largest annual jump in more than 20 years, according to the New York Fed. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And then when they go on and say that a combination of robust consumer demand and higher prices is the reason for these increases. Again, that's concerning. Right now, we also know that total debt jumped by $351 billion for the July to September period. $351 billion. Look at this. Bringing the collective household IOU in the U.S. to a fresh record of $16.5 trillion. It's trillion with the T. That is concerning when the American people that are working so hard to just live, pay for rent, pay for a car payment, for medications, and for food, everything's going up. Everything is going up sky high. You go and try to buy rice, it's more expensive. Go buy top ramen, more expensive, right? You want to go get a $1 slice of pizza. Good luck. It's tough to find now. The few of the places that I knew that were selling a $1 slice pizza, it's now like $1.49, $1.98. It's going up, right? So that's a huge concern. But again, this is something that I've been saying for quite some time, that we need to expect prices are going to continue to move up. Expect credit card usage is going to increase. We are going to see people default on their loans. They aren't going to be able to make their payments. We're going to see people lose their jobs. This is something that we are expecting. This is why I always tell you, make sure you are ready and just prepare. If you're prepared, there's no reason to be really scared of what's coming, because again, we're planning for this. All right? So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.